Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wappelville. I was trying to stream this on Facebook, but that was a hideous failure, so we're going to just do this the regular way on a YouTube Live. Now, you recognize these oil paints right here. These are the ones that I've been using in a lot of my live sessions to paint miniatures. And when you play with miniatures, you need dice. If you need dice, you need a dice bag. Now, these are made by Armoured Wolf Productions, and this is what we're painting here. So this is just the raw dice bag. You can see the grommets there. You can see we got our stitch marks down here, two different pieces of leather. Now what I'm going to do is take you to another finished bag, and you can see how that works. So you got the upper section. See, you've got a kind of a cinch there. You get an idea of just how many dice is that's going to hold. Now Trevor likes to put some metal pieces on there. I'm going to show you here a bag in progress. So remember I showed you that this flat piece of leather that I'm working on? Well, there's your flat piece of leather right there. And you can see up in the upper right hand corner, that is the metal. And you can see it has to be all cut by hand. You can see his drawing and everything. That has to be cut. It has to be filed. And then those extra rivets are put in. And then you see on the left hand side in the corner there, you see there's some spikes added. Now, if you're looking to get some of these dice bags, here's their Etsy page. So it is Armored Wolf, and look in the upper left, it's spelled with a U, not an R, because I keep spelling it with an R. And it does, oh, yeah, and by the way, there's barrettes and other things too, but lots of dice bags. Now we're going to go back to our starting scene here, and we're just going to chill out with some walls. Now, one thing I did want to show is just how this absorbs the oil. Look at this. So I'm actually trying to rub away that oil. This is why we're using the oil paint here, because we want it to actually stick to the bag. Now we've got our references in the corners, as we usually do, and we're working basically with some burnt sienna. We're going to actually start to throw in a little bit of Payne's gray here too. And again, just thinning with those white spirits. And all I'm trying to do is figure out, well, how big do we make the eyes here? Because when you cinch this up, well, it's going to affect your face there, all right? And I'm just trying to figure out where all the dark's going to go. So we're going to thin this down again. And we're looking, okay, where's the nose end up here? So we're just, again, all we're trying to do is figure out, see, look at that, where some of this stuff is going to go. And we're going to start to work in that some of the raw sienna there. This is, that's a yellow ochre, sorry. Here's some raw sienna now. And you can see that it starts to change a little bit. Now we're going to start to add a touch of our white into here. And that already starts to give us a bit of a change. Now remember, this is always, it's going to mix with the previous paints because, well, it's oils. That's what oils are for. Oh, first and last is first. This is definitely going to be a different type of project. Different type of project. Well, and we're doing this here because, well, we love our dice bags, for one thing. And obviously, in today's world where everything is canceled, like art shows, Renaissance fairs, conventions, this means that some folks do not have any way of basically putting their wares out in public. And that is why I'm doing this. I'm trying to basically kind of show these off in a unique way. And Trevor, yes, he's going to make a dice bag out of this. Now, one thing I can see, this is very different than the usual oil painting process here, mostly because it's super absorbent. This is not like miniatures where it just sort of bounces off. I know it's a weird way to put it, but it literally is just bouncing off. on a miniature, whereas this, it's leather, it's skin, it's absorbent. So what I'm probably going to do here is I either have to move the nose down or the eyes up, and we're just going to move the nose down here. And we can do that because, well, it's oils, right? So yeah, we just completely change that around. Let's get some of the typical wolf markings under the eyes here. This is another way I can sort of walk this up and move it up a little further. But you can see how we can. Oh, hey Bethany, how's it going? Well, we have something. Here's something a little different for you. Now I apologize for the weird time. This is not Australia approved time here by any means, but we were trying to do one of these for the basically the North American audience who hopefully will, after seeing this, flock to Armored Wolf Designs and just buy dice bags by the thousands since, well, Armored Wolf Productions, they are sort of bound in their studio, kind of like all the rest of us. Let's keep them real busy by having them endlessly cut and sew and stitch dice bags forever to the point where they never want to see another dice bag again. And I've been itching to do oils that aren't a miniature, even though I love using oils on miniatures. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while too. So, and you can see now I'm going to go more with the oils, a little less with the, I almost called it rubbing alcohol, just a little bit less with my white spirit. But look at that. See how that just kind of fades across there. Here, let's do a little bit more with the eyes. We're going to try and move these guys up here a bit. Let's see if we can't move these eyes a little bit. That's why we're not sketching this out with a pencil and all that, because, well, things change. And we can make these changes with oils. I can see that the oils, at least these initial layers, are absorbing into this so much that it's making it a little bit more difficult to do the wet blending initially. Hey, Dominic, how's it going? Yeah, the whole idea of this is to give some friends of ours a little bit of a boost here, because, well, I think if you check out the early part of the video, and we'll go back to it, we love their dice bags. I'll show you Kathy's Nurgle bag again, because it's really neat. I think you'll want to see that again. So here, I'm gonna go back into this here and move the eyes up a little bit here. And we may make another, we may move them up even a little bit further, who knows. But I think we're getting into a good place here as far as where his nose is sitting. Let's get a little bit more here. Like so, let's give him a little bit more of a intimidating look maybe. And then let's start to give him some more color up there too. Now, what you can do with the oils is you can really push it around, even on leather like this. So I can still do a little bit of blending here. Not quite, obviously, what I'm used to, say, on a miniature. Let's go here. I'm just gonna see how much we can move the snout downwards here. So these are the adjustments sometimes you just have to make. We do them on miniatures all the time. Why can't we also do these on, well, a dice bag? Let's get a little bit more of our white. Now this has a little bit more of a blue tone to it. Again, we're just going to spread this out here over the bag. Oh, feel free. Anybody that's got questions about miniatures, fire away. Please do. Whatever you have question-wise, I'm here. I'm here for a while. So go right ahead. Let's see. Let's. The other thing now. Okay, this is something that's going to be a little bit different with 2D painting, say, than a miniature. Now, I do talk about when I'm working on a miniature, I'll say directional strokes is important, but also hard and soft edges. Now, here on something like this, hard and soft edges are real important. What am I talking about? There's a hard edge right there, soft edges here. Again, with miniatures, probably doesn't come up quite as much because they're three-dimensional, so you don't necessarily have to emphasize that quite as much. But with miniatures, well, you really want to do that. The other thing is, too, we want to see how this works because, hey, I would like to do more of this. I like to paint spacescapes on dice bags. I like to do a whole bunch of stuff on dice bags, and how much we do with that kind of depends on this first one here. So again, we're doing another hard edge right there. So if I want to paint a mini as if it was ivory, oh my goodness. Now, I'm trying to think of which miniature. I don't know if I did a tutorial on the, oh, what the heck were they called? It was a Song of Ice and Fire miniature. I called them the walking toilet bowls. They were not Royal Guard. They were something, but they were all white. Maybe I didn't do that on YouTube, but never fear. Never fear, because guess what's coming up soon? Well, a lot of Lord of the Rings figures, and last I checked, there was not one, but two white wizards. And yes, I've got Gandalf, I've got, what's his name? Saruman, and I fully intend to do tutorials on those guys. So that's coming. Just actually this month too, probably in the next week or so. Now, if I was to do it with oils, well, actually, look at the color I'm using right here. So you've got some of your warmer stuff here. That's the yellow ochre raw sienna, right? Now look what happens when I mix. That's that olive green color there. So we get a different kind of off-white. This is a little bit of the Payne's gray. I'm gonna actually put some more of the white, but see how I get more of a bluish white. So we have three different colors of white. That's what you would have to do if you're looking to get something to look ivory or alabaster or whatever. You're gonna want to get some of that. Definitely want to have some of that white in there, but also here. Let's get. Speaking of white, let's put more out here, and you can hear that sound, right? Oh, do I still have my piece of miniature paint? Ah, here we go. So the agitator that I used in my jars was just a leftover sprue. I mean, we all got these things. We all have sprues. We can use those. So what we're going to do, and look at how that just comes out just like miniature paint. Yes, it was fantabulous. I was just overjoyed that that actually worked. I still can't believe it. So I'm going to try and go a little lighter here with the eyes. We're going to go lighter, and then we'll also go darker. So now I can see, okay, we have a decent amount of paint on here, and I can see that is starting to actually blend. So I might even start going a little bit thinner with my paint too. I'm going to keep moving this thing up actually a little bit. Okay, here we're going to get some red. So that's really the key. If you're looking to paint ivory, you know how we say black is never really black? Well, ivory's never really white. I know that's going to be maybe a bit frustrating, but that's pretty much the case. So here we're just going to get a little bit of shading there on the upper part of that eye. And now we're going to get ourselves a little bit of this. This is some of the burnt sienna in there. And like I said, we're using a sort of an amalgam of the different references here. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. All right, what do we got here? We need ourselves some kind of a dark here. And we also need that over here too. And we need that over here. And over here. And you can see we just sort of casually blend that out. Casually blend that out and change the color every so often. Now what I'm hoping to do is let some of that leather texture show through. Now remember we talked about directional brush strokes, right? Now this is where they start to become even more important. Kind of with each step along the way, the directional strokes really start to matter. And you can see we're starting to get your darks out here, but look at how the brush stroke, and they're emanating out from the face. And I'm just going to start with more of a feathered look out there at first. Now let's see if we can't really start to maybe lock in our eyes here. So feel free to ask any questions that you want during this. We're doing some Payne's Gray right now. And again, we're just kind of solidifying the shapes of the eyes here. Now, I've actually done this, ironically enough, on some Facebook Lives, but I'm going to be putting wolf heads on some vehicles like, oh gosh, can I even grab this thing out of here? So this is a Gates of Antares thing, and I actually put a wolf face on something like this. So I'll do that again. But hey, now you sort of have a wolf face tutorial to, start with. And you can see already just in these early stages, what are we, we're 15 minutes into this thing. 15 minutes in, and we've already got ourselves a pretty strong sense of what this is going to be. Here, let's connect this to. Now, I might just throw a little bit more of my white spirits in there, although you have to keep in mind, see, this is more directional strokes here. Have to keep in mind that it's absorbing this along the way too. Now we're going to go back to something that's a little more warm here. That's the not too liquid, but this is the raw umber over here. And we need to definitely, we have to reinvigorate our darks here also. Here, let's have some, again, we're thinking directional strokes now. See that? Look at that. See how they start to emanate from the eyes and work their way out. Now, I actually have on the YouTube channel, believe it or not, I do have some other, critter painting exercises, for lack of a better term. I have painted critters before, and those are here on the channel. Maybe I'll just link those to the description for you. Now here we need to give him a little bit of a highlight on top of his nose. Now, of course, we're also going to be dealing with the texture here that's on the bag. So you can fight the texture or you can use the texture, and, we want to try and use that. We're going to try and use that texture to our benefit here. See, this is again, we start to chip away where we have hard edges. You can only have so many hard edges. You got too many of them, you have no structure. Hey, Ben, how's it going? Yeah, we're doing a dice bag here, and the dice bags are by Armoured Wolf Productions. That's with a U. There's their logo over there. See the scroll right there? That's their Etsy shop. And I'll show the dice bags again here. Not that they will be waiting for the paint to dry, but we'll show you their dice bags again. So here's some of that cadmium yellow deep, and now it really starts to have an impact. Let's get some of that. I'm gonna boost it even a little more. What the heck? Let's just go for it. Let's see, now we're starting to get those individual, starting to see more of what looks like wolf hair instead of just blobs of color. Again, we're gonna just have this radiate outwards from the face. Go back into some of our white here. Again, that's just titanium white, and we are using oil paints. So again, directional strokes. We actually have to show a bit of a lower lid there. We're gonna go back to some, let's see again, some radiating brush stroke here. Let's turn this upside down because I'm right-handed, and then poof. This is fun to do with acrylics, but man, it's fun to do in oils. So Trevor says texture of the leather would be great for the nose section. Oh yeah, because dogs, it looks smooth. It's more just because it's kind of wet because there's a little bit of condensation on their snoots over there. That's a highly technical veterinarian term right there. Yeah, let's get a bit more of our white there. So here's some more. Now I've got, if you look at on the blog, oh, never mind, the blog address is not going to scroll across because that's on the other setup. But anyway, if you go to wappeliusblogspot.com, you'll see my 2D art section, and you'll see there's a fair amount of wolves there because, hey, I don't like painting wolves. I know I do. So here's a bit of that bluish gray. Bluish gray gonna go in here. Gonna go over here. And I'm starting to think I want to actually get, here, I'm gonna get a little bit of the white spray. Look at that. Nice little kind of filbert brush thing going on there. Yeah. I'm going to extend this out. As much as I do like the texture of the bag, I think we need to extend the white out this way too. And look at that. See, look at how we're just feathered brush stroke. You've heard me say that on the miniatures too, right? Yeah, over here. And see how it starts to give us a little bit of actual fur-like texture. And now see it mixes with the paint that's already there. That's my favorite brush brand. Well, we'll go into that real quick. So these are basically just very inexpensive number 8 round craft brushes. Now this happens to be from Hobby Lobby right here. There's 12 of them, $4.99. But it's Michael's, any craft store. But the interesting thing is that when they start out, see, they have that nice pristine point. After a while, they start to wear down a bit. That's where we're at here with this one. And that's why it's making such a nice, basically like an extended filbert style brush. So hopefully that sort of answers your question. Now you'll see if you go, well, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want, if you haven't already. There are, well, hundreds and hundreds of videos on here, and you'll see me utilizing the craft brushes for most of the figure because it lets me do things like this. I can sort of think globally but work locally, if that makes any sense to you. Let's do a bit more. Yeah, out here. Now this is just, I'd say I can't do this necessarily when making miniatures. So this is why every so often I like to do something with 2 dimensions here. We don't have, obviously I've done plenty of, actually I've got at least 3 tutorials on the YouTube channel if you want to see painting wolves in miniature. Well, wolf miniatures, just check out the rest of my videos because they are certainly there. Painted a lot of wolf miniatures. Oh my gosh. Painted tons of those. How about I want to get some more down in here. Just feeling it that I want to have some, and see how it mixes with what's already there. The whole idea is to essentially let this softly work its way, or it just kind of disappears into the bag. That's what we're after here. We'll see if that ultimately happens. I think it will. Now here's a little bit of the Payne's gray. That starts to make it a bit of a bluish gray there. And again, I'm not trying to kill the texture of the bag itself necessarily. I want to keep some of that texture of the bag. And you know what? I'm actually, for the heck of it, I'm going to actually extend some of this out here, which means I'm going to go back into my white spirits and get this to flow again here. Now that's not really a problem you're going to have on miniatures because your paint's going to flow just fine on a miniature, but this, obviously, it's absorbent. Heck, if you look on the 2D art section, you'll see we used to paint Celtic drums. And obviously the Celtic drums, well, they're on goat skin. So we're talking absorbent for sure, right? Now here, let's see if we can maybe do some smaller things here. Because it's, you don't always have to work with the bigger brush. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to get ourselves some of that cadmium yellow here. And my goal is, that's what I'm after. So think of this as like we're painting gemstones on a miniature. And this is that sort of underneath, that lighting on the underside of the gem. Think of it like that. See, it's not all just rough and nasty work. Sometimes it can be a little bit more gentle and pretty. Let's work in a touch more of this. The other thing is, the sharper the edges we have on these eyes, the more, it's almost like the focal point of a camera. Think of it that way. Now we are going to take some of the brown and our Payne's gray, and we're just looking to get the darkest of darks here on the eye. I'm going to do some more. I'm actually going to thin that down a little bit. I want it to really flow and be sharp here. Yeah, I'm going to go this way with it. Yeah, I'm going to go that way with it. That's just getting caught on my microphone cord there because, well, this is a little bit more unusually shaped than a miniature, I would say. Now, I'm going to really see what I can do to thin down that paint because we want to lock in we want that to be as sharp as can be. Let's get some nostrils in here. Another sharp contrast there. Another sharp contrast there. Then we're also going to do some whiskers on this. Another thing you can do is you hold it upside down. And if things align pretty well when it's upside down, no, that's not your phone being held upside down. That's me holding this upside down. So you hold it upside down. That kind of lets you know if your eyes are actually lined up correctly. Now what we're trying to do here, check this out. We're getting a slightly lighter, kind of a bluish black there. Now we're going to do that even some more and make it a little bit lighter. What are we doing? We want to do something like that. So now actually it's because there's actually hairs there. It's not just a solid mass. There's hairs there. And you can see we're kind of creating that gemstone effect. Now we're going to do something along the lines of this here. Like so. And then what we'll do is give them a little bit of a, there we go. One little light touch. You can see now he's really staring back at you now. And then we can go in here and look, we can soften some things. Check that out. Now let's say I want to get some more almost individual hairs. We've done the sort of more broad brushstrokes of hairs. Let's see if we can get, look at that. So now we can get even smaller with our brushstrokes. So here we're going to get some lighter whites right in here. Just like that. Let's do the same on the other side of his muzzle there. And then I see I got to do some stuff in here too. Boy, this really just takes me back. This really takes me back to painting drums. Now that I can, and the leather smells great, let me tell you. There's nothing that smells more fun than some nice fresh leather. About some more here. So look at this. Look at how that oil just flows right across there. Oh, look at this. All of that nice, the early feathering that we did, these hairs start to stand out that much more because of what we were able to get early on. So again, more hard edges, hard edge there. Hard edges. Can't emphasize those enough. You balance those with the soft edges. You will have your contrast. I do bring that up in miniature painting, but it's tough to illustrate that. Well, at least anywhere near what you do here. I mean, yes, there is some of that involved with this, but my goodness, it really does show up. So I can just refine this more and more and more as I go along. You know what I want to do? I want to actually get myself a little bit more here. I want to enhance my shadow over it. Now, the other thing too is with oil paints, unlike miniature paints, sometimes those oils, in the case of, say, alizarin crimson or phthalo green or phthalo blue, those colors are going to be on the more transparent side, and burnt sienna is one of those. Can you see what I'm doing here? See those little speckles in there? Just trying to get it to look more like an iris rather than now just a gemstone. A little bit of stippling. Let's go back to our yellow here. I want to have some green in there. And you notice that the eye is not completely just one hard edge and one hard edge alone. There's a little bit of softening to some of the edges. I think I want to do a little bit more. Yeah, I need a little bit more of the yellow ochre in there. We're going to carry this out. Let some of that actually. Here, let's go back into our blue again, and then we're just, there we go. I'm gonna fade that out just a bit. We need a couple of lights right there. That's about right there and right there. I'm gonna extend this down a little bit further. Yes, I know his nose kind of gets cut off a little bit there, but it is what it is. And I think, sorry, my voice is kind of going here. We're going to let that get a little bit cooler too. So this comes forward because it's warmer. That starts to disappear because it's cooler. I'm just going to get me a drink here real quick. Sorry, there was a wee bit of frustration trying to get that Facebook Live thing going, which turned out to be impossible because you can't just do a Facebook Live to your own personal Facebook. You have to do it to a Facebook page. And for whatever reason, it just wouldn't acknowledge my Windy City Miniatures Facebook page. And after wasting, I don't know, 4 hours screwing around with that, we said some very colorful, very non YouTube friendly metaphors. And we went to YouTube. So that's why you're seeing me here. Again, wasn't not the original plan, but I'm used to pretty much the first thing that gets wiped out is my plan. So that means it just must be another day that ends in Y. Now, I think I want to take some of that away, though. See, because now I've got some oil paint in there, I can get a little bit of a fur texture in here now. Yeah. So it's starting to look just like a flat mass there with no real shape to it. We don't want that. What we want to have here is that's going to be a little bit too dark. We'll lighten that up a touch. There we go. So just going to, at this point now, this is where you can go back and forth, right? And just bring something out, knock something down. Like right here, I feel like I want to make that a little more round. Now we did say we wanted to do some whiskers over here. Hey Josh, how's it going? Well, actually, this is 7:41 p.m. for me. This is actually, heaven forbid, this is a normal like daytime for me. So yeah, normally we don't have that. Normally it's what? By now, this would be almost 3 o'clock in the morning for me at a normal time. So we're going to extend that out. We're going to give it, just see, we did it over here. We need to do it on this side too. And yes, this is a little bit different. This is actually a dice bag. So it's still miniatures related. It's a dice bag. And we're using the exact same oils. So I'm using my oil paints. This is what I just used in the last live session. And this is pretty much going to be the month of oil painting. So get ready because there's more of this coming. There's a whole lot more oils on the way. See, again, directional brush strokes here. Directional brush stroke, just kind of starting to sneak in. Oh, yeah, you can see that. Geez, it's almost easier doing this or getting this on screen than a miniature. Who'd have thought? Let's see if we can't give him some kind of whiskers here. Let's start here. And we'll do a bit of foreshortening there. How's about some more over here? Usually a couple rows worth, and you can see there they sort of follow the this arc. And we're going to give ourselves a couple more there. And then, let's see if we can't give ourselves some whiskers here. Now, I'm going to have to thin this down because we want it to flow reasonably well. Here's some more of the, again, that's the high quality white spirits. And it's going to do a couple of test strokes here. So, boom. Yeah, let's make that even more liquid. There we go. And I'm pretty much going to have to just get some new paint every time we do one of these whiskers here. Now, we don't want them necessarily to be straight, because whiskers can sometimes just go all over the place, do some really wacky things. Now it's about even more burnt sienna here. And just trying to get myself some intensity here, because now you've got sort of this reddish orange color up against that bluish Payne's gray. Again, a bit more vitality to the face there. Let's see if we can't do some more fur texture in here. And I also want to get this a bit lighter here. A little lighter there. And here too. So as I said, the more of the white spirits you put in there, look at how that flows. Remember how the paint early on was not doing this? Well, we didn't have anywhere near as much of the white spirits in there, because remember I was soaking it in, because we actually have now a decent amount of underlying oil paint. It's actually, see, they're just sort of sticking to each other. Get some more accents, kind of carrying the color of the eyes further out here, further out. Now let's see what we can do here to go the opposite way and bring even more light here on the underside. And it's going to have to be, remember, we've got wet oil paint on top of wet oil paint. So at this point now, we're going to want a little more of a gentle brush stroke. How's about a couple of brush strokes to that there? Why not? Why not? And you know what? I'm feeling like we should just throw in a couple of little brush strokes. So say here's how this, it just emanates from like this one point here. It's like something, boom, starburst there, and all of a sudden there's fur going in every direction. I want to get a little bit more separation between the nose and the rest of the muzzle here. Don't want to lose that completely, and I certainly don't want just one massive hard edge right there, because that's not what we want. But what we want here is a little, see what we're doing again, that feathered brush stroke there. No, and believe me, your phone is not upside down, your TV's not upside down, or whatever, your tablet, it is not upside down. I'm actually just holding this upside down because it's easier for me to do this. Oh, and it's upside down. Let's get some more of our lighter colors out into this area again. This has a little touch of yellow to it again. can always throw some more of my titanium white out onto the palette. More of these little individual fur brushstrokes. Let's go with something darker again. Maybe something in between. Can we go halfway? This is the middle tones that we talk about so much on the miniature painting side of things. Well, guess what? They're real important on the 2D side of things as well. And the idea here is to try and frame this off in a subtle way. So the idea is here we're going to try and mark off these two ends with these darker bands. A couple of darker bands of fur that work their way down. Oh, like so. And we're going to emphasize that more up here and sort of let this disappear on this side of things. Yeah, it's nice to have that paint out there because it's just, we can access that. So here we're just going to extend that out. Using the white spirits there, it helps that paint to flow. But you can see how there's that initial where it sort of soaks into the leather. That's why we're using the oils, because it will soak into the bag instead of just kind of riding on top of the surface. And then when it gets stitched together, when it gets cinched together, then you don't have a problem. Oh, we have some Trevor. They are soaking it. It just like you were just saying, it leaves enough behind for me to be able to actually blend some stuff. And I wasn't quite sure at first. There was a point there where I thought, I don't know how much blending I'm going to do. But see, like right there, I was just able to just blend that the normal way. Here again, able to blend it in a way that I would expect, but geez, how many layers of paint has been built up there? So definitely have built up some more paint for sure. And of course, this paint already started thinner because it's our thinned down oils that we made for miniatures. So it's the consistency of miniature paint. It's the consistency of miniature paint. And now again, this is a flat piece of leather here. So let's go to, so you can see the dice bags here. Again, this is the Armored Wolf Etsy page right here. You can see how they get cinched together, right? All those different colors of leather, but you see how the bottom section remains basically flat and basically remains intact. So here again is another close-up. So you can see how it gets cinched together. That is why we are, there we go. So this area is going to kind of cinch together. That's why we have to make sure that this paint can be flexed like that and not just pop right off. Now this, I feel like I want to actually extend this a little more here. So we're working with our, again, our favorite middle tones. We love the middle tone, just does all that work. Poor middle tones, they do all this fantastic work and they just never get any of the credit. So here I'm actually just taking some of the white spirits, pushing that around. I'm going to do that over here. This is just white spirits. There's nothing else on the brush but white spirits. This you can't really do on a miniature because, well, the miniature is just not absorbent. However, on super absorbent leather, it works fairly well. Works fairly well. So here, let's get ourselves a little bit of this warm color out here on the edges too. Maybe even a little bit warmer there. Again, thinking directional strokes. Also thinning that down. Now, if this were a miniature at this point, I'd have to be saying, look, you have to think of how thick was your last layer. If you were using much thicker paint, the layer on top of it's going to have to be thinner. We've changed the paradigm here by working with this 2D surface, which is super absorbent. That now just as I say that, there is not we're not doing the back and forth because this is absorbing all that extra oil. Man, is it really absorbing that extra oil? Now, what we're going to do, since I think we've done enough on the eyes there, this is one of my favorite little things to do here, is to actually extend that out just a bit more. All right, so it's kind of like a sunlight sort of thing, and it makes the eye just look that much more round. So always a good thing to do. And we're going to make these little less of round blobs, and we're going to give those just a touch of fur texture because we can do that. And remember these dice bags, Armored Wolf Productions with a U. Remember the U. And the custom bags. You're not the ones that are up on the Etsy page. Those are for just various leather colors, but you saw some of the specialty bags like your Slanish bag. And the Nurgle bag that Kathy has. So if you want to be like Kathy and go the route of Nurgle, you can. But you can even potentially go this route and have a bag that's actually, well, whenever there's painting on a bag, obviously the Nurgle bag, Trevor did all that by hand. But you want something that's custom. Oh, there's a whole lot of things that can happen. So actually, I do believe Armored Wolf on Instagram too. That's another place you can see a lot of the finished bags. So Eldar bag, a Sister's bag, all kinds of amazing dice bags. And like I said, well, just at this point, this is where it really gets fun because you decide just how far do we want to go out here on either side with our fade. I'm thinking I'd like to actually have just a hint of this lighter color out towards the edge. Even here. A little more there. Now, like I said, this is my homemade oil brushers. Gonna squeeze a little more out there. I don't need a whole lot more, I don't think. And we're gonna go to my camera controls real quick, if you don't mind. I even get my brightness a little bit lighter here because I think I think we're good on that. Let's get a little bit of a thinner white color here. Maybe even a tiny touch over there too. Again, the idea is to make this look like it's an arc because we want that to, it's got to be round. Got to be round. Now I could do some of the snow effect on the nose and stuff, but I also have to think that this bag is going to be cinched up most of the time because, well, otherwise your dice are going to be going all over the place. We don't want that. So it'll be a little easier, I think, to translate when it's folded up or cinched up if we don't get too crazy with stuff like the snow effect. I think we'll leave that off there. Something tells me I want to also go back into some of this darker stuff here. So I apologize, we're going to have to go upside down again because if I'm going to get my directional strokes where I need them to be, that's kind of what I have to do. There we go. Now, when I used to paint the Celtic drums, that was crazy because every brushstroke, quite literally, you heard a muffled drum sound. This is blessedly quiet. It just got a little bit weird to hear an hour or a couple hours of that little tap, tap, tap drum playing. That got a little weird. So again, there is. He's going to get you. Better watch out for the big bad wolf. And it seemed to be appropriate to do a wolf, given that it's Armoured Wolf. Again, that is the artist behind the genius of these bags. And they hold a bunch of dice. They hold a ton of dice. And no, the dice in the pictures, they don't come with the bags. You gotta furnish your own dice for your bag. I mean, who among us does not have a bazillion freaking dice, anyways? I know I do. Mostly given to me by people that see me roll just that endless collection of ones and feel bad and get me more dice only to see those roll an endless collection of ones. I swear, for whatever reason, any dice that I have, all of the facing just immediately switches to just a one. There is no six. Actually, there's usually no four or five either. Now, I think I want, yeah, here's some. Knock that down just a bit, but you can see there's some wet blending that starts to happen there because we've got enough paint. So this is different from the miniature paints. You can tell how much it's going to distort when you fold it. Not really worried about it because here we'll show you this is Kathy's Nurgle bag. I'd still pretty much translate. So you can still pretty much see what's going on here, even though the bag is cinched up and you can hear all the dice in there. First last, so well, I can curse any dice actually because they watched me roll the way I usually roll, and then they felt bad and they gave me this block of dice. I said, "Oh, Jim, here you go. Look at the roll these dice." And I do believe I grabbed 12 of them or 11 of them. So it was a significant amount. And I proceeded of those, I think 11 dice, 9 of them were ones. And that was the very first time I touched the darn things. I quite literally picked them up and rolled something along the lines of 9 out of 11 ones. And the rest were twos. So that's just another day. That's another day that ends in Y for me, which will explain why I don't do Blood Bowl. Because I used to love Blood Bowl. It was my favorite game. But when you talk about a game where one or two die rolls won't just lose you a game, it'll destroy your team and your season, that would be Blood Bowl, which is why you don't see me playing that game. Yeah, I'd love to be able to play Blood Bowl, but Blood Bowl requires dice rolls that are higher than ones and twos. And that for me is an impossible thing, so I see a couple of the light brush strokes there that pushes those eyes further down. Can't do on some of my here. Let's go back to some thinner paint again. Oh, actually, well, I had the ideal game. I actually made a baseball strategy game for myself. Well, worked on it for actually a couple of decades, and it was a 3d6 curve, which meant triple ones was just as good as triple sixes. The worst thing you wanted to be rolling was threes and fours. The thing that every other game, I think what most Space Marines, they hit and they save on threes and fours, right? Most things, threes and fours are just great. Nope. The last thing you want to roll in that dice game or my baseball game is a three or a four. And I'll never forget the look on people's faces when they say, "Oh, sorry, Jim, you just rolled triple ones." I said, "Yeah, that's a home run. Thank you very much." So curve, why the heck? I mean, okay, so games won't use D10s or D12s or anything else because apparently the only thing people use is D6s. Well, then make a 3D6 curve. You can get so much more out of a 3D6 curve than you can in any dice game. You can't have the variables. Heck, you can get more variables in that than in a D10 based game. And I know because I spent decades doing this. I'm going to let that get a little bit brighter too. Why not? Let's do some of that here. You can mock it around together and end to end and see. Well, I've got it attached to the cardboard here, so maybe after this is, I'll take some pictures of it once this is dried, and then people can see how that looks when it's all said and done. What I think I want to do though is actually make that a little bit stronger. So I'm going to make this even. Sometimes I just kind of make that part a little stronger, a little darker, more emphasized than say as usual because we're sort of doing a vignette here, right? We're not doing the entire face, we're just doing a bit of a vignette. And again, all that is just my white spirits and Winsor Newton oil paints together. And I know several people say, "What's the ratio? What's the ratio?" Well, I got news for you. There's no ratio because every single paint is different. So let's say your Payne's Gray right here. Well, you may need more or less of your white spirits to get it to the right consistency than, say, an alizarin crimson. And that the same goes for a whole bunch of other colors too. They're all different. And actually, as I found out, the age of your paint also makes a difference. So if you're working with paint that's been sitting around for 2-3 years that you've been using, you're going to get a different result there than if you're using paint that is brand new. Like you just got that tube recently. It's going to act differently. Something you just want to be aware of. So yeah, sorry there are no formulas that I can give you. You will just have to try it yourself. I want to looking to get just a nice dark, and this is actually a bit of the Payne's Gray. Not just to make it darker, but give it a little bit of a cooler tint. So now, yeah, that sort of locks those in place. Yeah, this would be flopping around pretty good if I didn't have the cardboard on it. It's just blue tack to it. I figured that would be the least harmful thing for the leather. You know what? I want to get a couple of other. Yeah, there we go. Well, we haven't really messed with our our burnt umber very much over there. We did a lot of raw umber and other colors, but boy, I don't want to forget about. Here, let's give him a little bit more of a bring that down further. Then I might even strengthen that edge a bit. Then this is where it gets fun. So Ben says I made mine all basically 50-50. As long as it comes out of the bottle, you can always thin it more, and that is exactly right. Because maybe you're more comfortable with it, like I say, being thinner or thicker. And besides, when you're going to do stuff like the glazing anyways, you're going to be thinning it down some more. And, well, like we talked about, eh, when you're once you do a certain amount of paint, now again, that's different on miniatures than here. So I'm just taking literally white spirits, pushing this around. So this is something you really can't do on miniatures. I'll tell you that right now. But with the miniatures, yeah, if you've got thicker paint to start with, you're gonna have to thin it down, like you say, anyways, to get those successive layers. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just taking some of that white spirits there. And I'm just using that to blend. So that's a fun little thing to see happen. See if I can't, on the end here, let's get a little bit more on my darks out here. Oh, thanks, Bethany. Oh, well, you have a great day. I know this was a really weird time for you here, but actually, I don't know if you checked out the gold nominee. Oh, and by the way, before you go, I really loved what you posted there on Facebook. That was a really great display board. Geez, sorry I didn't say that sooner. I was kind of distracted. Hopefully you heard that. Catch you later. All right, so now we kind of compressed this a little bit more than maybe would be normal, but it's a dice bag and it's going to spend most of its time cinched up anyways. So I think that's a no harm, no foul situation there. Now this is that balance where just how much of this dark do I want to show? I think I'm going to get a couple more brush strokes out here. Yeah, they're not whiskers, just the way we extended the stuff up here. I'm going to extend some of that off the sides here too. So I want to make sure I can still see what's happening here because XSplit's being XSplit and just causing issues. So there's a bit more fur texture there. Let's have this go a bit further. And now let's say we're that same thing. The brush strokes emanating from the center, moving out this way. Finally, I get some of my burnt umber in here. Oh, look at that. It is a nice, juicy, reddish brown. Very nice. And boy, I'm just smelling that leather. Right, actually, it's two great smells. It's leather and oil paint. I mean, that is just two great tastes that go together. So again, these are your grommets that are going to cinch together. These get stitched, and I'll just real quick show you. So again, see that? There's the flat piece. On the left, you see what it looks like stitched together and cinched. And then you get, well, now this case, it's got the metal on there. And here's another one again. You can see it's slightly cinched there. So it's a little bit more open. And then hopefully when this all gets cinched together, you should still see a pair of eyes looking back at you. Going back into our titanium white, and I'm looking to get there. Just a couple of pieces there. This is where we start to maybe stylize this a bit because yeah, we got our references and we're looking at that and all that, but this is where I have to start to think, okay, this is going to be cinched up. Maybe there's some parts that I should just emphasize a little bit more because who knows, when it's cinched up, maybe some things will be hidden, not as noticeable, whatever. Another thing too, in this area, we've been doing all those long brush strokes. Think of this as the center, so you're looking down at the hairs here. So these need to actually get shorter. And we're going to do that here as well. So we're shortening those up. That's better. I'm thinking, what am I doing here? That actually should be, so now we're looking down at those hairs. I said you can always make some changes. It's the magic of oil paints. Ah, yeah, look at, again, we've got some really fun, see, it's not wet into wet really, but it's just going to sit on top of that surface now. It's not absorbing in because those initial layers basically kind of took that up. And now we're able to just paint kind of a more, what would you say, traditional way here. And if you do the subscribe thing on the channel there, I have at least two other I think painting a pair of other a cat and a dog, so a Maine Coon cat and a dog, and now those are both in acrylics and they're not on leather. I'll tell you that right now. But if you want some more tutorials on oils or tutorials on painting animals in 2D, well, those exist. They really do. How's about that? Yeah. So see, we're just now that's a little bit of say moisture there around the sides of the eyes. So you block things in, and then you really start to tie this together. The feather brush strokes and the leather, they're just it's these are two great tastes that go together. Actually, can you imagine a spacescape painted on here like we were talking about with this ability to blend like this? I think spacescapes could look pretty darn nifty on the leather. So this, like I said, this is a test. We had no idea what was going to really happen with this. Would it be easy? Would it be difficult? Would it just not necessarily look like it was actually painted? But I think we can say it still looks like it was painted by hand. It doesn't look printed on or anything crazy like that. Here, yeah, one extra layer of reflected light right there. See what I just did there with the yellow? What it just adds a little bit of moisture to the eye. I think we should do that here too. We're going to do that here. Yeah. So we're just continuously adding a little bit more here and there. I'm going to make this even lighter. But man, do I love the smell. This combination smell of oil paint and leather. Oh, that is a fantastic combo of smells right there. I'm going to drop me a couple. Yeah, let's drop a couple of these lighter brush strokes here. Just, yeah, grabbing a little bit of my white spirits, thin that down, make it flow a little bit easier. See, it's got some yellow in it. But I'm really glad I did that because now that adds a little more. It's just a contrasting texture because we're talking about the directional strokes, right? Well, these, and now we're going to add some dark into that. This is every bit as much a directional stroke as all of this stuff that's been pulled out this way. Believe it or not, this is a directional brush stroke because it's setting a texture here. Because unlike a miniature, where the texture is essentially sculpted there for us, we have none of that here. We have to do all that ourselves here. And if we're going to do that, we have to just keep in mind yeah, I know I'm going to get some little more of my Payne's gray out here again. See, that's the agitator in there. Just a little dot of it there. And boy, it's so much easier. Again, I love my oil brushers. Now here was, speaking of oil brushers, now this is my original oil brusher here. Oh, Ben says you should write Yankee Candle and recommend a new scent. Oh yeah, scent of oil and leather. So see, it works pretty well. This is a nail polish container, but you can see this junk here. Same stuff happens with the oil brushers, and that just gets to be a little irritating after a while. And now I basically have miniature paints in a bottle. Yeah, the scent. Oh, Josh has to head out. Thanks for watching, Josh. Appreciate it. Sorry if I missed you initially. Now I think I want to find some more up here, right there. Yeah. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, we're doing that over there too. It sinks those eyes down that much more. It's right over the top here. Okay, it's more directional strokes. Yeah. the phase now, it starts to look more like it's actually part of the bag, as instead of just there's this little thing that just is tattooed on the bag in one little spot. So that's good. It kind of gives him a little bit more of a, yeah, it makes the eyes look that much lighter. Gives him a little bit more of a look there. Without, I looked at the snarling pictures and I said, you know what, that's just, don't really need a snarling wolf here. I don't know, maybe that would be for me with my garbage dice rolls. More of a snarling wolf bag. That would be me actually rolling dice. That's what the snarling would be. That would be me looking. You gotta be bleeping kidding me. I I spy with my little eyes somewhere here where I want to get some more light, like right there. And you know what? Maybe here. Let's go a little bit of our whites or white spirits there. Oh, Ben said we need to make a brainstorming session on the name. Well, um, we called them Wappel oils because, well, Wappelius and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we eliminate the L, or well, well, there we go. Heck, there's probably people that have tried to spell my name, Wapoils. So, actually, in all seriousness, I'm not kidding you here. Just, was it last night or today? Kathy said, actually, I think it was earlier today. Uh, writing project that the series should. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw that earlier today on your Facebook post there. So she says, maybe approach the Winsor Newton or something like that, and see if they might make these for you. Well, there's certain other companies that I've talked to about having oil paints made, and basically the most common reason given for not making them is they said nobody's going to buy them. Well, if you guys maybe write a petition and sign it, and I'd say, you know what, I've got hundreds of signatures of people here that say, can you please make us some oils in a jar that we can use? I could change everything. Now, I think, did you see what happens there? See how it's more of a bluish gray? And boy, that's going to start making it green. So let's go down here. So once again, we're changing. I want that to get too light though. But it's another level. A little more, yeah. I wanted to get some more beefiness up there. Oh, what's going to happen down here? I think we are going to take a little of that Payne's. Aha, that's the nostrils were looking a little small there. Make those nostrils a little bigger. Maybe, yeah. I needed to thin this down. Oh, hey Spud, how's it going? Yeah, well, this is probably, geez, when's the last time I was able to do a YouTube live that wasn't, well, for us, and by us I mean everybody in this hemisphere in North America, that wasn't at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. So this is rare for me. I keep looking over. It's 8:22 p.m. What the heck is that? That can't be me. That actually has to be the people watching. That's like Australian time there. Then I realized, no, that's my time. That is actually my time. So Trevor asks where he can find your Facebook post there with your story, because you've been working on that for months. I remember when you first started posting about it. Oh, the Church of Oil Painting first. Yeah, okay, price. Let's talk about that. So here, we'll start with something basic. So there are 6 Winsor Newton paints in here. All you need to add to this is a white and maybe Payne's gray, right? Now there's a set of 10 of these too that you can get on Amazon. Well, when Amazon is Amazon again, this costs something like 18 bucks, right? And this right here is 10 years of paint for you, maybe 12, maybe 20. For actually regular people, it might be 50 years because you can see how little I used, right? This is a big old dice bag. Man, this thing, look, this is my hand right here. That's how big this thing is. Now, MGM does grimdark and puts black oil wash on virtually everything. Yeah, see, well, that is the thing that we're fighting is that most people think of oils as just, well, you weather vehicles with it. You don't paint with that stuff. That is the first barrier that has to be broken down, is that people see it as nothing more than just a material for weathering stuff. And until we can get beyond that mindset that all it can do is weather vehicles, and I guess unfortunately the only way is for me to just keep pounding these videos and have people watching them. So it's 13 and a half by 7 inches. So yeah, 7 inches tall. What is this? 4. It's got to be at least 4 inches here, I'd say. No, it might be 4.5, 4.25, something like that. Look at me trying to do all like I'm on the table guessing ranges here. That's me guessing that. Look, if you and I ever play a game of anything, well, we ain't gonna play that many things, but if you bolt action, Lord of the Rings, pre-measuring, no way, baby. I don't like that. I don't like pre-measuring. That's another reason why I make my own terrain instead of using those tiles and other such things because, oh, look, it's a 1 by 1 foot tile. I mean, you might as well just be pre-measured anyway. So yeah, you're going to get lots of different sermons here, apparently. You get sermons about pre-measuring, sermons about why the heck they don't let us have oil paint for miniatures. Because look, okay, last live. Oh, this is my last live session. The one right before this, a couple days ago. This is almost, well, it's not wet anymore, but look at that. That's a miniature painted with oil paints, and about as much time as we spent here. Maybe about an hour and a half. That's a miniature painted. Same exact stuff we're using here. Oh, thanks, Chilling Wargamers. Appreciate it. We've got another miniature right here. It's the same. Everything you see on this palette here is on this miniature. It can be done. It can be done. It has been done. This is the channel of if they say it can't be done, we'll say it is done. Oh man, somebody's got to watch the video that I posted to the Patreon page because there was like 2 totally t-shirt worthy phrases in I think it was towards the end. Man, I've already forgot them because, well, I wasn't going to be stopping to write those down in the middle of filming a video. But oh yeah, watch that video and tell me, well, it'll probably sound t-shirt worthy anyways, but you'll hear me go, oh, t-shirt worthy. Whatever the heck it was that I said, please write me that in a message because I want to know. I want to have me some stickers made. I'd like to have some t-shirts made too, but not quite sure when that's ever going to happen. Really not much point in trying to do that now. We'll wait till a later date when maybe things are more now, like I said, I'm just having me some fun here. Taking some of my white spirits again. We thin this down. Oh, Ben says they're so much better for you. White doesn't go chalky. Yeah, and there's really, well, I think just because the intensity of the oil paint colors, because remember, there's no fluorescent paint in here. That looks like fluorescent paint, but is not. That is just phthalo green kind of on the bottom part there, and actually we had some of the cadmium green on the top, and the rust colors is just burnt sienna. Then we went to raw sienna. Then we added some of that yellow in there, and that was right there. That was your rust color on that. And yes, it was all painted in one session, so all the oils were wet at the time. Now I'm just going to take, I'll just position some of the white spirits there, and we're just going to, look at this, take some of these, and we're just going to drag those, smooth some of the edges on those. So now in the miniatures, I'd be taking like a blending brush or something and doing this, but here, the nature of the leather being more absorbent means I've got to almost, I don't want to say re-liquefy, because this is wet. And if I was to go whoosh, like that, there would be sad sounds. But this just helps it flow a little bit. Again, all I'm doing here is taking the white spirits and dragging the paint around. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Hopefully everybody is all right down there. Sorry we didn't get to see you at Adepticon. And yeah, actually this is a dice bag right here. Having some fun with the oil paints. I'm going to drag some of this texture further down his muzzle here. Asking a question about sealing miniatures. Well, that is easy, and this applies to oils, acrylics, everything. I just brush this on. Actually, I think it's the only Army Painter product as far as paints that we use, and that's the anti-shine. You brush this stuff on. I do it on all my miniatures. Like I said, if you got oil painted miniature, you let it dry. Once it's dry, it's no different than acrylics. And poof, you're good to go. Let's see, Ben, the only problem is saturation. But I only use magenta, phthalo blue, cadmium yellow. So the phthalo green definitely was help. Oh, alizarin crimson. Try that. Yeah. Now it would have been busy. Oh, no problem, chilling war gamers. It would have been. There was so much going on. Well, we're all busy. When we're doing Adepticon, it's more like we're just kind of trying to survive the entire weekend while we're there because there's just so much stuff going on. I'm sorry that we didn't get to any of the terrain dates there. That would have been fun, but it was, well, just trying to get ready for Adepticon. And I think people know that Adepticon takes months and months and months to prepare for, which means staff meetings that start, well, technically they start in July and they go all the way up to the convention itself. That's before the convention. Meeting after meeting after meeting. Haven't even done the convention yet. So there's a lot that happens, lots of moving parts with Adepticon all year long. Oh, last time was at 2014. Well, if it's funny, you should mention that. Do I have that here? Where is she? Aha, Sue, 2014. What was my 40K tournament army? It was Sisters of Battle. All right, I'm going to change my focus here real quick. Just bear with me here. Come on. There. So I just did this video last night. This was my sisters from 2014, except you notice the base is bigger and she's actually like moving. That's the new plastic sisters, baby. So that is, I'm going to be doing an army painting series on that. And man, that's going to be fun. Yes, indeed. And I was just, I was waxing, or what would you say? nostalgic about my 2014. So Joe says we have another year to get ready. Yeah, I just we'll see if the staff thing happens in July. Well, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen, sadly, because oh, and it's weird. I think they were actually playing footy games. Now I don't think they are anymore, but it sounded like they actually were trying to play the first week or two of the season, which I just well had assumed based on every league here that even footy was stopped. Let's see. Oh, first and last, just wish the new sisters didn't have such face. Yeah, now actually, probably I'm guessing that you probably would go more for the helmeted versions. For me, I went for the non-helmeted versions because I want them to have red hair. Which actually, that's the weird thing is that they sort of have hair helmets that they're literally just there's almost no texture in the hair. So I had to pretty much paint all that in. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just mess with my window here so I can see what's going on. You know what? I'm gonna bring the white up a little bit more here. I'm just trying to say, do I want to bring some of that darker? You know what? I might just frame it here with some darker color. Uh, all amateur sports can in the UK. I would imagine that there is no footy being played at the MCG or at the GABA or at Metricon or actually what is it, the Witten Oval, I think, is where let's see. We're back to school in Japan starting tomorrow. Well, I know they were going to start up the Chinese basketball league until they said they weren't. So, well, best of luck with that there, because I know here people are not super happy doing the homeschooling of kids. They're not real thrilled about that, understandably. Oh, I'm used to the terrible female sculpts. Oh, the Galadriel. Yeah, now there is there's a couple of 3D sculptors that are doing Lord of the Rings style figures, and I think that one of them might be a Galadriel. Now, of course, we can't get them, but there's the new Aomir. We've only been waiting 17 years for at least a decent Aomir sculpt. And then I believe what was the other new one? Oh, probably Faramir and oh gosh, who's the Faramir and someone else? Uh, some of your Dunedain there, or your Rangers, your Gondor Rangers. I don't think I ever painted a Faramir. Well, no, technically I did. I painted Faramir's head because, well, he was hanging off. His head was hanging off of one of my Candish chariots. Yeah, that I had a Candish chariot that had a few heads hanging off of it. Let me see if I can. Boy, can I even dig this out of here? Let me see if I can. Just bear with me here. It's not actually. Aha! Yeah, see the Gondor heads hanging off of there. That's my Candish king. Oh, wait. There's Aragorn. No, that's either Faramir or Aragorn's head hanging right over there. Yeah, baby. Take that. All right, we'll go back. I'll go back. I know we're and adding a few more Harad to my Lord of the Rings army. And let's see, we've got the Dol Amroth. Those guys are going to be starting up. Now, I had some stuff that I was trying to work on for the Golden Demons there for Adepticon. I do still have, what is it, my old Prince Imrahil. Yeah, you know what? I'm liking this. I'm gonna, I think, go a little bit more with my. Yeah, let's lock this in with some of these darker things out here. We're also going to extend that out some more. Who knows? We're marching this out further to the sides than I expected early on. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my white spirits here. Let that flow a little more. And if you're seeing this for the first time, you can always go back to the beginning of these things and catch them from the. You might want to see the start of this thing and see what it looked like when it began, because it sure as heck didn't look like this. Ah, the Perry Brothers sculpts from the old days. Let's see. I wonder if they'll create a series on the Tolkien books. Well, the Amazon. Well, who knows if that's actually still. It's supposed to be made. It's supposed to be from the Second Age, and what was it? I think was it Celebrimbor. It was. It's going to focus on the making of the rings. So I'm sure you might even have Sauron in his fair appearance stage at that point, maybe. Because wasn't it Celebrimbor that he wasn't the guy that now it's Celebrimbor that sculpted, or not sculpted, but crafted the rings. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah, don't have now. There's been some updates. Some of the Lord of the Rings YouTube channels. What was it? Men of the West and the Geek Squad or whatever, Geek something. But they've had some updates on it, and they actually started showing the actors that were cast for certain parts. Well, they didn't know what parts they were cast for. They just said, "Here's some of the actors, and we'll figure out who they actually cast for those parts." Ah, so it was Celebrimbor. All right. Basically, I've been studying Lord of the Rings like it's a historical, not like I'd study uh, Operation, like Case Blue or something like that, or Operation Citadel. I just because I'll never have time to read the books or listen to the books on tape, but I can listen to short histories. So I've been trying to learn about Arda and the breaking of the world and Numenor falling into the sea and Galadriel being a little bit impetuous and not being allowed back to the Undying Lands until, well, many moons later. Uh, Learn about, let's see, there was one of the last kings of Gondor who basically was suckered into challenging Sauron or was challenging the Witch King in Minas Morgul, and he never came back out of there again. Look at me all talking Lord of the Rings lore. I just did to kind of realize what that means when the movies happened back in 2001. Kathy sort of kind of dragged me into the movie theaters. I had never heard of Lord of the Rings and never heard of Tolkien. I had no idea what it was. I had no clue what it was that I was about to watch. So that's how much I've had to learn about it from somebody that, again, never heard of any of that stuff before. I had no clue what it was. We're having lots of fun here. And again, so we're look at that band of, say, the grommets right there. And let's go to, let me see, is this going to be my, so see the grommets there, you can see just how much that gets cinched so that you can still get your hand in there. And now you see that flat piece of leather again, but you can see what happens when it has been cinched and when some of that stuff has been added. And again, that's dice bag by Armored Wolf Productions. So we're back into our burnt umber here, and we've added some of these lighter. I don't want to call it stippling, but we're gonna go with some darker stuff here now. Let's just go. It's a little bit of Payne's gray, a little bit of Payne's gray. There we are. And if you want to see how I paint miniature wolves, well, guess what? There's at least 3 of them from the Song of Ice and Fire. And just go to the Song of Ice and Fire. What is that? The playlist should be right there. Shouldn't be hard to find. Check out the playlist. Watch the videos. Have fun. I'm just gonna can carry that nose a little bit further down. So now I don't know if you saw some of the terrain that I've been working on. That's RM printable terrain. I'm going to be doing some more tutorials on that. I did one for the Patreon page already, but right now the terrain that I'm doing, it's pretty much ruined terrain. So we're talking probably iron ore is what it's ideal for, because we've got sort of a forest board. Now I've also got a mat from Table War. It's more of a cobblestone street, so that would be a Skiliath. So we definitely want to have a Skiliath in there too. Actually, you know what? I found some wargs. I always like to have evil armies balanced against whatever. Well, good armies balanced against my evil armies that I love so much. And I was actually thinking of, I'm not thinking of, I'm going to do it, a Dunlending army. And that means Sauron and Grima, 2 of my favorites. Love me some Grima. And a bunch of Dunlendings, Huskarls, but maybe some Warg Riders thrown in there. Maybe some Warg Riders too. Again, we're thinning this down. Bringing in just a little bit of, yeah, because this needs a little more there. And like I said, it's walking out before it kind of ended where the eyes were, and we're already about 1.5 inches, 1.25 past where the eyes were. Let's get some on the other side here. Try not to get my big old hand in the way, but it's going to be in the way. There we go. Boom. You know what? I'm going to go this way too. So like I said, I'm stylizing this a little bit because it's going to get squished like that. Oh, hey, Umai. I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, this is probably a little bit more favorable time for you right here. It's 8:46 p.m. for me, which shouldn't be a weird time, but it is. Sure, what's the plan for the rest of the bag? Actually, I'm just going to leave it be this right here, I think. I'm not going to mess around anymore with it because, yeah, I don't want this to, yeah. Actually, I'm kind of liking this as it is and just letting the face itself be the focus there. Because actually what would be neat if we did a more of a celestial dice bag, and that would actually have the spacescape on there, and that could maybe leak over into here and such. Yeah, I'm gonna extend this out to, let's get some more of the lighter color here. Yeah, let's just do it. So I like the fact that this is spreading out a little bit more and more there. I was already calling them WAP oils when I got your message earlier this afternoon. It's narcoleptic LTD. It seems like I know someone, maybe it was Kathy that said Wappel brushers, but you know how people get with things like that. But I mean, I could do a Google search, and I'm pretty sure that Wappel oils is going to show up zilch. So that could be a thing. I mean, maybe if we just do enough of this kind of stuff, people will say, "Ah, there's something to those oils there." I mean, I've only done, good grief, 100 plus hours worth of oil painting tutorials here. We're going to do some dots of this is the cad yellow light here. Couple of, yeah, little dots in there. Kind of give it that, what are those, rods and cones, right, that are in your eye? Now, at least I think that's what they are. Could be wrong. But man, that is a sweet smell. The leather and the oils together. Oh, man. Just can't get enough of that. How's about a little more yellow ochre? A little bit of my white. Yeah, let's do this. Bring it down to the nose here. Because, boy, if I could, I wish I could show you some of my Celtic drums, but I don't think I have have any of my blog pages here, and I cannot, I have to do that before I start the stream. Because if I try to add graphics and stuff while I'm actually doing this, oh, it doesn't like that very much at all. Oh, can we get a little bit of a darker brown in here? I think we can. Yeah. I'm even gonna go into this is that burnt umber here. Haha. There we go. So see where the hair is a little bit shorter there? Yeah. So we're just gonna walk this down the muzzle here. Again, it's just as light as the brush strokes out here, but just a little bit of a shorter brush stroke. The Aptolong oils, no, I would totally stay away from those because I tried those actually in another live session, and I don't know if I have yeah, here we go. So I tried using those, and they were super glossy, and yeah, you have to use some kind of special stuff with them to make them not be super glossy. And I said, nope, that's just not for me. And that's when I went back to and to price wise, you're way better off with a big honkin' tube of that and making it into, oh, where's my brown matter here? Oh, that's the one I didn't make yet. So again, big old tube of Payne's Gray. I can make this one tube here. I could probably make 4 of these containers. Maybe not filled to the brim. Whereas the Optilung, who knows what the heck's gonna happen. So yeah, well, I was surprised. I thought for sure that the best I could do is just basically mimic the oil brushers. Turns out I like these better. I actually like these better. That it's not just the ease of getting them out of the container. I actually like the consistency of these better, especially on colors like this, especially on the Payne's Gray, especially on the Phthalo Green. The Migamo oil brushers, some of those darker, more intense colors, they come out of the containers real weird, really weird. I don't understand. I don't know why. They just do. So to me, I kind of prefer. Who would have thought I would prefer something that I actually just mixed myself and have a complete control over it? Yeah, I was very disappointed. Now they come in a real pretty container. Here's the. So I mean that looks all nice. Yeah, you get the nice fancy everything. And, it's okay. It's not that hard to squeeze a tube of paint out onto your palette there, but I was not super thrilled with that. I just, I tried them. You can watch the live session where I used them, and it was weird. I just thought, okay, they're glossy because they're wet. And then later on, I realized, no, this is 7 days later, and they're just as glossy as when I first put them on there. That's just how they are. And I talked to some folks, and they said, "Oh yeah, yeah, you got to use this," and I have it. Wherever the heck it is here, I've got something that some kind of medium or whatever that you thin them with, and it turns them more matte. And I said, "Yeah, I kind of like something that starts out matte and ends matte. That's why I like the Army Painter Anti-Shine." Now here I'm just gonna break up these couple of shorter. Not everything has to be a long brush stroke. We've been doing that here, right? Shorter, more stippling brush strokes because we're looking right down at the top of the hair. But we are gonna do a couple of other, again, shorter interruptions in the hair. We're gonna do that here too. And look at that. So now what's underneath that, all of those browns that we've layered there, because the fur should be layered. That's why it almost looks yellow in some places, especially on a white dog. See how we're walking that up here? Just giving that a little bit of a. Now we couldn't have done this early on. If this was my first layer, this is not going to happen here. We learned painting on the oils that you need to layer this stuff up to be able to really do these, and this is very thin, super thin right here. I am gonna get a couple of, so we get down towards the end of them. Yeah, oh yeah, that's, see, this is too, is starting to separate the muzzle texture from the fur. That's better. Yeah, it needed something there. It's always about, the texture, especially when, well, yeah, wolf like this fur. And speaking of fur, we're gonna extend this out a little more further. No pun intended. I'm gonna let a little bit of a grayish color get into this, and I got some bluish gray over here too. I'll let it get even darker there, I think. Dum dum dum. Now perhaps, I don't know if it's possible, but if this goes down only this far, then we can even do more with the face there and stuff. Well, any design, whatever we paint there. It could be a bird. I mean, we thought, all right, didn't we think dragon fade? We thought birds of prey. Well, anything with a pair of eyes. Fish, probably not so much, but any kind of a critter that's got eyes could be really nifty for something like this. Take me something to drink here. Give me a second here. That's much better. And yes, I just made drinking sounds in your ear. That's just for me to keep my voice going. Now here, see, these are the first layers. So now you'd have to go back to the beginning of this, but see how that it just gets absorbed in there really quick. These brushstrokes not getting absorbed quite so much because, well, we've been at this for a while and we've got layers of paint there. Now I am gonna, let's get some of the paint out of that. The other thing that's great about the oils too is, and if you've seen me talk about it on some of the painting episodes, is this brush right here for acrylics wouldn't be super fantastic. The tip is all kind of messed up, but boy, with the oils, it almost acts like conditioner, like shampoo and conditioner. Warwick Gaming, there's oil painting and drinking fluid. ASMR. You'll have to inform me on the AMSR? ASMR. Sorry. There's some. Yeah, we're gonna bring that dark into there. Perhaps even a little touch of it here too. So these keep. Now look at this. So I can't do anything to that. I am not used to that. I'm used to just, if the oil is on the miniature, you can push that around. So again, like on this one here, we just slapped the paint on that and then just pushed it around. But here, let's compare how intense some of the greens are here with all of the umbers and stuff. But again, look at the raw umber and stuff, the same color. We'll put it next to his eye there. Same colors there. The pane's gray. Same thing there too. We're back into some of our, again, that is the burnt umber, a little bit of the burnt sienna in there. Do I want to? Yeah, what the heck. I'm going to let this work its way out even more. It is so funny just how much we've extended this face from what it originally was. Yes, I realize that. I'm confined here by the bag, so sorry about that, runs with Caesars. And you also have to think, too, that it's going to be cinched up like this. So the proportions are going to change dramatically. And also, too, you're seeing it from this perspective. You're not quite seeing it from this perspective. So you're kind of seeing it tilted forward like that, and that's a little bit of foreshortening that's happening. What I'm going to do, though, is I want that little highlight to show up some more. Speaking directly to them or making a particular sound. Okay, let's see. Let's go. Yeah. So that gives me a little bit more of an edge there on my highlight. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit of the, yeah, get a little bit of this reddish brown in there too. Again, that's the burnt sienna. Can't hurt to have some more colors in here. And yeah, so I think we're pretty far along with this now. I'm gonna go with some straight up raw sienna here. And just get a touch of it there. Yeah. Yeah, she's actually, it's been used. Now, she was bringing it to D&D. Obviously, now D&D sort of happens here, but she was bringing it to D&D. It was, I mean, that's, you can hear the dice in there. This thing is full. It weighs a ton. I mean, there's dice all the way up to here. I think it's, oh, hey, Jacob, how's it going? Thanks for hanging out with me last night, or early this morning, really. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of the opposite of what we were talking about. Usually, this point in a live session for me, it should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4:40 in the morning. So it's actually kind of nice that I don't have to think, oh my goodness, because it's not so bad at this point of the year. It's better in the wintertime. But boy, in the summertime, that's the worst, because by the time I'm finishing up a live session or something, the sun is coming up and it's already sunny out, and I have not gone to bed yet. That's not That's no bueno. That's not so fun. So I brought back out some of my titanium white for some more finish here. Now again, I have to think this is going to be cinched up. It's going to be a little bit distorted. So what can I do here to almost, it's again, that's kind of a stylized appearance. I'm going to give a few of these hairs a brighter print. So we're kind of carrying this laterally a bit more. I'm also going to deposit a bit more here and here. How's about, yeah, a little more of a separation there. But not a line. We're not outlining it. We're just kind of, how's about a little more? Yeah, I think we can do, it's more like fur. So it's not a line. We're just drawing some fur that kind of ends where the muzzle is. How's about another, yeah, some more of this brighter white here. Yeah, that kind of helps to finish that off. Definitely strange times. How's about a couple of more strokes of white here? Yeah, I think I'm going to drop some over here too. So we're actually, so about 2 hours into this total. So actually, I am going to sign off here because I need the bandwidth for uploading another file. But we're just going to do a quick little review here. Again, we got this flat piece of leather like this. That's what you're seeing here. So you got the grommets there. You got your stitching on the bottom. On the left, that's what the finished bag's going to look like. Over there, you see the working of the metal piece there. Got some other finished bags. Obviously, a nice niche theme here. And you can just how many dice these things can hold. They can hold a ton of it. And review again. Armored Wolf. There. See the Armored Wolf Productions right there with a U. Don't forget that. That's the Etsy page there. So I just want to thank everybody who hung out with me on this, and I'll catch you on the next live session in a couple of days. See you later, guys.